Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Cartersville City Council to order. If you will please stand for our invocation and pledge.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for life, health, and strength. Father, we thank you for another successful year. We ask you for a special blessing for all the department heads, the work they do for our city and our citizens. We thank you for this governing board, Father, that do the will of the city with wise minds, the heart of understanding, and compassion and love. We thank you for the manifold blessings of this year and looking forward to a progressive year in 2020. We ask these blessings and all blessings in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Over the roll, please.
Carrie Hogg, Ward 1. Jay Stepp, Ward 2.
Here.
Carrie Roth, Ward 3.
Here.
Calvin Cooley, Ward 4.
Here.
Gary Fox, Ward 5. Taft Wren, Ward 6.
Here.
Thank you. Hoping maybe Santa Claus will bring me a new backdrop for the new year. Our fake trees continuing to die. That's okay. First order of business is the approval of our council meeting minutes from December the 5th. And council, you've had an opportunity to review these well in advance, and now is the opportunity to make any edits. And if there are none, a motion to approve is in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Brock, get us started, please.
Yes, Mayor and Council. The Recreation Advisory Board has 4 members whose terms are expiring this year. The terms of Patrick Jones, Ward 2, Monique Hall, Ward 4, Ty Mitchum, Ward 6, and Rick Koloff, who is the mayor's appointee. Their terms will expire on December 31st of 2019. All 4 members have stated they would like to continue serving, and if reappointed, their new term would expire December 31st of 2023. Your approval of their reappointments is recommended.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Continue on, Ms. Brock.
The Cartersville Development Authority has 5 members whose terms are expiring January 6th of 2020. The 5 authority members are Mike Fields, Tommy Strickland, Walter Mahone, Robert Dabbs, and Ralph Sonny Miller. They have stated they would like to continue to serve on the authority, and if reappointed, they would serve a 5-year term.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please, Ms. Brock.
Yes, sir. Tom Shinall and Jeff Watkins serve on the CVB board, and their current terms will expire on December 31st of this year. They would like to continue to serve, and if reappointed, their new terms will expire December 31st of 2021.
Thank you. Any discussion? And if not, a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please.
Yes, the current terms of Malcolm Cooley and David Caswell, who currently serve on the Bartow Cartersville 2nd Joint Development Authority, will expire on December 31st of 2019. They would like to continue to serve, and the new term would expire December 31st of 2023.
Okay. Any discussion? And if not, a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Ms. Reed.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to come up and share with you a second award that's been given to our African American Heritage Trail in Cartersville, Bartow County. So we received the first award, which was a statewide award in August, and this one came to us from the state's Regional Tourism Authority just this month in December. So
Great.
just wanted to share the good news with y'all.
Thank you. What kind of participation numbers are we getting?
We've had some good groups. I think our biggest group has had about 50 people in it. I mean, enough to warrant a coach bus to come up and take the tour. And we see those not frequently, but fairly often. And we've had just coming up, the school systems coming to do some tours around downtown with us.
Fantastic. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Let's see. Chief Carter, you've got the next item, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I come to you tonight on behalf of the request of Bartow County Emergency Management and also the Georgia Emergency Management. They're asking for us to sign an updated agreement as far as the statewide mutual aid pack is concerned. We signed this last agreement in 2016. There have been no significant changes. It has been reviewed by our legal staff. One recommended change was that the police chief also be added into the agreement, which we have done so. Tonight before you, per our legal staff, I have for you a resolution that would stand in support of the statewide mutual aid pack. We humbly ask that you support the resolution in the statewide mutual aid agreement.
Okay, thank you. Questions for the chief on this? And if there are none, a motion is in order.
Make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Chief. The next item has been removed from the agenda. We'll move on to the Watershed Protection Plan. Mr. Jones, you have the next several this evening, so.
Yes, I
Need to get you a-
apologize for the volume of our business. Good evening, everyone. I think first up is our Watershed Protection Plan resolution. We're all, I think, familiar with that. This is a part of our new wastewater permit. It basically says that we need to monitor the watershed in the surrounding area as a part of that permit to make sure that that is kept healthy. It will give us an ongoing baseline to compare how the watershed health is upholding, whether it's getting better or worse. It is a required part of our permit. The plan has been completed, and the last step prior to adoption of the plan is to pass this resolution, essentially saying that we commit ourselves to implement the plan, uphold the plan, finance it, and carry through with it. So that's what's before you today is ask for your approval of that resolution stating that we will do so.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Bob on this item? If there are none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Bob. Next item.
Next up is our filter controls integration. This is a part of the filter rehabilitation plan that began about a year ago. We are beginning work on the last filter. So this will give us a complete new set of filters in the water treatment plant. That has not been done since the plant was originally built in the early 70s. As a part of that, there's a filter controls package that goes with it. This is the software that monitors the filters, controls the valves, the various functions of the filters as they go through their normal routine. This ordinarily would have been bundled with the filter rehab work, but we like to use a very specific integrator because this is sort of like brain surgery for the water plant. And we have somebody that we're comfortable with, they know our plant, and there is an efficiency with knowing our plant. So if we had done that in the contract, we would have specified to use this company. We knew this was going to be a high dollar item. The contractor doing the work is entitled to mark subcontractors up 15%. So since we know these people, we know who they are, we've said, why don't we just contract directly with them and save that 15% markup? So what we have tonight for your consideration is a sole source to MR Systems. They are the integrator that's worked on our SCADA system for decades. They've given us a price of $570,418 to complete the work. This will be for all 9 filters, integration of full controls into the existing SCADA system. And by doing it this way and avoiding that 15% markup, it's roughly an $85,000 savings to the city for doing that. So I would recommend your approval of this.
Okay, questions, comments, or motions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please, Bob.
Yes, this is, we need to do some geotech analysis for what we're calling the Jimmy Don Crane sewer. This is out behind his facility off of Peoples Valley Road. We have a sewer out there that's an aerial crossing of the creek. And the sewer is actually exposed and the joints are actually moving when flow in the creek gets up, so we need to get this corrected before it opens up. When the original sewer was constructed, the contractor did run into rock in this area. We have reason to believe that we will do the same in the relocation. So rather than roll the dice and just hope we don't hit it and run into some excessive rock charges, we'd like to go ahead and do this geotech work and delineate where that rock is and at what depth it's at. And hopefully that gives us a better design and a better bid package so that we avoid change orders as a result of that. We asked for GeoHydro to provide a price to do this. They came back with $12,845. I will mind you, I think you've seen in your packets, there is some contingency money in this, so I am hopeful that we will be able to land this at less than this price, but this gives us a little wiggle room if we get out there and have to accommodate some field conditions, so would recommend that for your approval.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? And if not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next one, please, Bob.
The next one is a roof repair at the water treatment plant. This is for our number 2 high service building. We've just done a bunch of work on this building. We waited specifically until after we did the foundation work for this part of the project, but it is now time to do that. We took bids for the needed work, and Elite Roofing was the low bid at $24,000 even, and would recommend that for your approval.
Okay, questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next one, Bob.
Yes, sir. This is the grit chamber number 1 at the water pollution control plant. It is exactly what it sounds like. It takes sand, grit, and settleable material out in the headworks of the plant. This protects all the downstream pumps and equipment. We have 2 of these. We need to rebuild the number 1 chamber. It was last rebuilt in 2012. And what this is before you tonight will be all of the chains, buckets, hardware, all of the parts that will go into this. And we're asking to do a sole source to WSG Solutions. As we mentioned in the work session, we've had some experience with their products versus some others, and we have seen much longer life out of this stuff as far as probably 2 or 3 times what some of the other products that we've seen. They've given us a price of $28,656 for everything we need for chamber number 1. And I do recommend that for your approval. And just for frame of reference, we rebuilt chamber number 2 in 2017. And I compared as best I could the parts list to that. And this looks to be almost identical pricing from 2017. So I do believe it's reasonable.
Okay. How many of these chambers do we have? I'm trying to remember.
2.
Just the 2, okay.
Yes.
All right. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Last one for you, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, last up, we have a flight mixer. You see me come in here with these from time to time. We have several of these. It's a submersible underwater mixer, and it just helps keep solids suspended throughout the process. As we're going through the plant with the nutrient upgrade project, there will be some of these pieces of equipment that come out. And what we ask the contractor to do is to pull these out and let us evaluate them for salvage. And what we're found with this one is this one can be rebuilt. It's in decent enough shape that we feel like we can do a rebuild on it, get good service life out of it. We've rebuilt these before, and we find that the rebuilds last very well. Flight has given us a cost proposal of $9,837.80 to rebuild this mixer. For comparison, if we were to purchase it new, it would be $30,557. So we think this is a pretty good investment to have a critical spare on the shelf, which is what this will serve.
Great. Any questions for Bob on this item? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Porta.
Yes, Mayor, I have before you CHUP cancer insurance policy. This is the annual firefighters renewal policy at $14,688 is a budget item. It's recommended for approval.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Dan. Ms. Brock, you have the next item.
Yes, the annual membership dues for the Georgia Municipal Association are due in the amount of $7,073.19, and I recommend your approval of that.
Okay. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Hill.
Evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. On the 21st of November, I brought to you guys a request for the software, this same package, to be approved from Equipment Controls Company for $6,675. As it turns out, I'm asking you tonight to rescind that award, and let's award it to Eagle Research Corporation in return. We tried to buy it from them, and we have bought from Eagle many times through Equipment Controls, them being the rep, but this seems to be different, and they didn't want us to buy it through them due to the fact that it has maintenance and licensing that they just didn't want to do that. So we're having to go through this motion. So,
Okay. So, council, a motion, if someone were so inclined, would be to rescind the previous approval on 11/21 that was awarded to Equipment Controls Company, and then to approve this software purchase for Eagle Research Corporation.
I make a motion to rescind the award on 11/21 to Equipment Control Company and to approve the purchase from Eagle Research Corporation.
Thank you.
I second that.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Michael. And Mr. Reinhardt, you're up with the finance report.
Honorable Mayor and Council, we will be discussing October 2019 and comparing it to October 2018. And the general fund revenues decreased over last October by $354,000. Expenses have increased by $773,000. Areas of revenue that I look at on a monthly basis are local option sales tax have an increase there of about $32,000. Building permits and inspection fees have a decrease there of about $48,000. The water and sewer fund revenues increased over last year by $6,000. Expenses increased by $3.1 million. This is due to increased personnel expenses, decreased operating expenses, decreased debt service expenses, and increased capital expenses. And the gas fund revenues decreased over last October by $384,000. Expenses decreased by $1.9 million. This is due to increased personnel expenses, increased operating expenses, decreased cost of purchased gas, decreased debt service expenses, and decreased capital expenses. In the electric fund, revenues increased over last year by $158,000. Expenses decreased by $155,000. This is due to increased personnel costs, increased operating expenses, decreased cost of purchased electricity, and decreased capital expenses. Stormwater fund revenues increased over last October by $83,000. Expenses decreased by $284,000. This is due to increased personnel expenses, decreased operating expenses, and decreased capital expenses. Solid waste fund revenues increased over last October by $152,000. Expenses increased by $199,000. This is due to increased personnel expenses, increased operating expenses, and increased capital expenses. And finally, in the fiber optics fund, revenues increased by $26,000. Expenses decreased by $182,000. This is due to decreased personnel expenses, increased operating expenses, and decreased capital expenses. On the cash note, the total unrestricted cash for the month of October decreased by about $700,000, and total restricted cash increased by about $100,000.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Tom on the finance report? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other business that needs to come before council? If there is none, I will simply say Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and season's greetings to everybody. Just also as a note, I know that some of the scheduling for trash pickup will be changed on those holidays, and our guys will make up for it. So if it's on one of your days, just put it out there the first business day afterwards, and we'll get to it as quickly as we can. And just keep in mind that while many of us are enjoying holidays, there'll be a number of city folks that are working around the clock to keep us safe, warm, and the lights on. So appreciate all of them for doing what they do. And it's an honor to serve with all of you up here. Merry Christmas to all of you. And we'll charge into next year on a real good note. That being said, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.